The big trouble that universities are having now is like any sort of AI plagiarism that's occurring. The universities are investing in software that detects AI, and now there's software that detects the detection. It's like,
oh my gosh.
Goodness, this is getting crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Welcome to the show. So
Thanks.
glad to have you. It's been, I feel like it's probably been, maybe even 2 years since we got together. We got together for coffee at Starbucks at Baker's Hall.
That's right.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
That was 2 years ago. Well done.
That's crazy. Yeah. So how have you been doing? Things
Really
are
good. Yeah.
Been busy?
Yeah, really good.
Highlighted the last 2 years. What have you been doing?
Highlighted. Well, I've joined Alberta Enterprise Group as president. So
Cool.
my team and I are doing our best to serve our members, find really cool events for them to provide value, bring new guests that are interested in that topic, usually around politics. I always love that. I've rejoined Anderson in Canada as of January, and I absolutely love that.
Okay.
And then I still have our headhunting practice, CBI Business Solutions. All three are super fun.
You look terrific.
Thanks.
Must be
Thank you.
feeling good.
Feel great.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
You look, actually, I think you're looking younger.
Oh, you have to say that.
I don't know. No, you do.
You're
You
a
look
good friend.
terrific. So,
Good friend.
well, that's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about what's going on in Alberta. Like we talked a little bit off camera, but what's going on in Alberta? What's the new job world in Alberta or new business world? What's shaking in Alberta that we should know about?
Well, there's certainly a disconnect, and I think from your background as well, you might or might not agree. Especially in the corporate side, there's a lot of openings, and not necessarily the talent to fill. And I think there's a lot of talent that is looking for jobs. So there's certainly a disconnect between how to get the ones that are looking for work into the world of work that is open for that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Is there any particular field that we're experiencing that more so in than others, or is it across the board?
I'd love your opinion on this too. Certainly any of the trades, truckers, field staff, even tech, that we're having to bring in a lot of top talent from other countries to fill in some of the gaps that are in that space. Tech is growing dramatically in Alberta.
When you say tech, you're referring to like the
Robotics,
software side,
AI,
robotics,
software,
AI. Okay.
That whole realm. It's harder and harder to find people, but we can pull from other areas. It's just it's not necessarily helping. Well, it helps Alberta obviously when we fill the roles. It's just nice if we can find the talent inside of our border to do our best to.
Yeah, I think the thing that I've seen with, like, if we call it IT, and it applies to all of the IT software IS environment, there's been some massive changes in 24 years, really. And one of the big ones, of course, is that we're now outsourcing so much of the small stuff, like the stuff that is very the most simplistic of the work is being outsourced out. And I think it's slightly interesting about that is normally you'd have, like in the case of engineering, you have this, you go to university, then you come out on some kind of an intern, practicum, co-op type environment. You learn something, and then you move up a little bit, and you're doing design, and then you're doing something more, and then you become an engineer, and you're kind of moving up through the ranks. I think IT got a bit of the segment gets pulled out of it a little bit because that junior portion where you might cut your teeth got moved to, being an online sort of thing. So that whole piece of being able to do the simplest HTML programming perhaps got shifted to offshore. And so there's a bit of an interesting, and actually I was saying to someone today too, and I don't know if you're downtown as well, so you may see or not see this, but I remember back like years ago, there would be any number of IT and software educational institutions in downtown Calgary. And now I struggle to think of one.
Yeah, DeVry's no longer around, are they?
Yeah.
Bow Valley might have filled in some of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then maybe the university and colleges have picked up some of it. But
Perhaps.
like there used to be quite a few smaller companies that were around that did that kind of training, but it doesn't seem to be around now. It's interesting. So
if the demand's not there.
Yeah. So, but then it makes it tough, because then you're going to, employer's going to say, we need someone with, 5 years of experience. You're not building the experience pool. Like, you're just depending on existing. So
100%.
anyways,
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's interesting. So
happened in other industries too, though, right?
Yeah,
Energy,
that's true.
Where there was big gaps where nobody wanted to work in the energy industry, and then all of a sudden they were back in. You and I looking for people with 5 to 7 years experience, they didn't exist.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, you might be seeing this as well, as there's, and I think especially in the tech world, like where Alberta's pushing hard to be acknowledged as a tech environment, or, what do you call it when you, incubator.
Exactly.
Right. I was thinking it's chickens, light, incubator. And I think one of the challenges that politicians have is that I'm not a politician, but we say, okay, well, we want to be that tech hub, but then it's like, it's not like a 6-month window. This is like let's say 30-year window. It's a long window. And then eventually we can possibly be into the AI environment and be much more that than other things.
Right.
So
agreed.
Yeah. What are you seeing with AI? Like we were talking a little bit about AI and stuff. What's the Alberta AI? That's a big open question, so you can say whatever you want.
That's hilarious. Well, it's certainly more and more, and it's on every scene in every industry.
Yeah.
I just finished a great presentation by an organization where my friend Stan Peake had introduced me to this organization, and it's taking, so from a recruiter's perspective, it wouldn't apply to us because we're much smaller boutique, and I like my hands-on.
Yeah.
But from an AI perspective, where they'll help you build the job description with whatever small amount of criteria you may have to or content to fill it in. They don't do any of the Indeed stuff, but they're talking about integration in the future to do that as well. And then they dump all the resumes into this AI, and in comparison to the job description, they will actually have comments on what that person or candidate would be a fit for, whether they're a fit for that role or not. And it'll also include the questions in which you want to ask that candidate if, in fact, you feel that you want to go forward. It was fascinating.
That's
I loved
pretty
it.
smart.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, because we bump into that problem a lot of, like 3 days later, it's like, I really should have asked that question. If only, and then you end up in another phone call.
100%.
So, yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool. I'll make an intro.
Yeah. We're using some applicant tracking software, and it's, realistically unsophisticated relative to what AI is capable of, but it still does gives recommendations of candidates versus job requirements, and kind of does some kind of percentage sort of ranking. It's not very good though, but at the end of the day.
I think you'll be impressed with this demo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to replace us soon? Because I can't wait.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Everybody feels differently. I hope it never replaces me. I love the work that I do, but I don't think so. I think it enhances what we do. And it's very similar to any other new thing. My gosh, when computers came the very first time, Dad was like, oh, no. We can't be replaced. This can never happen. Yeah. But here we are, however many years, 30 some years later, probably 40. I don't know how old I am anymore. Anyway,
20 years.
Thanks, Greg.
Let's go 20. Yeah.
It didn't replace us. It enhances our life.
Yeah. Are you using AI tools a fair bit yourself? Like you're using them
a million times a day. Okay,
really?
That's an extreme. Yeah. Obviously. ChatGPT is my friend.
Is it really? 100%. And you're using it for probably job descriptions. We all use it for that.
Everything.
Is that
job
right?
descriptions.
Really?
If I'm writing a difficult conversation, this is who I am.
Really?
This is what I'm dealing with. Yeah, it's brilliant. What are the top 10 things that I need to know of for Family Enterprise Office? Any of that. Yeah. All super wonderful.
Really?
Yeah.
It was interesting. I had a candidate who I asked him a question, and it was the kind of question that they needed to take away apply some thought to, and then come back to. And he clearly used AI, and then he basically just cut the AI response and stuck it and sent it back to me. And it was interesting because you could, it was probably the cheapest AI or something, but you could clearly tell it was AI.
100%.
Because AI tends to repeat the question a fair bit, which is not bad, in normal human interaction even, but it was in a way that you could tell it was AI. And then I think it cost him an opportunity, because when I looked at it, I thought, it's kind of lazy. We should put some thought into it.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know.
If we are going to use chat or any of these tools, still make it your own.
Yeah.
Use it only as a baseline, as an opportunity to enhance what it is that you were already thinking, but couldn't put it right into words yet. Especially a lot of the friends that I work with, colleagues, that are quite introverted.
Yeah.
What a great tool to be able to get started on something, a blog or a webinar, or any of these wonderful things. When we've got candidates that need to fill out a question that they're able to take away, we actually, in our words, we say, this must be in your own words without use of chat or any AI. And once we catch them like you, they've lost the opportunity.
Yeah. It's just, and I don't have a big issue with using AI, because especially if it stimulates additional thought.
Sure.
But to basically just copy it, it's just too
You and
easy.
I can see through that.
Yeah. It's not that, and maybe it's getting better. In fact, I have friends work with, I know some younger people that are into the kind of early university stages. And so the big trouble that universities are having now is like any sort of AI plagiarism that's occurring. And then so the universities are investing in software that detects AI. And now there's software that detects the detection. It's like,
my gosh.
Goodness, this is getting crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I like the concept of AI if it's stimulating thought, but I think we still need to teach people to be deep thinkers.
100%.
Like otherwise,
100%.
you're kind of blowing it.
It's not natural for everyone. So, and obviously there's other versions of AI with accounting and engineering and law now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It really helps with putting together an argument or whatever that might be. But you're right, it should really only be baseline. Still make it ours.
Yeah. What's happened in the AI front as it applies to, like, we still use resumes, like resumes still exist. Actually, a side note, this is kind of weird to me. Have you noticed or come across people that pronounce resume as resume, but they're from foreign countries?
I've not. No.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
You're going to come across it and you're going to think, you have a huge vocabulary, but you're pronouncing resume wrong. It seems so strange to me.
Huh.
And they're in the staffing world.
Huh.
It seems strange.
I've not.
Anyways, note to self.
Note to self.
Please pronounce resume right, otherwise you're costing yourself opportunities. But,
No doubt.
as it, I guess AI is used sometimes to produce resumes as well, or to write things up. But what has the resume evolved, and has our using of AI evolved it at all? Or what do you think? Has our resume evolved over the last decade, let's say?
I think so. I'm seeing, in fact, my friend, you probably know Jan Eden, the clients that she works with, they put together a profile now because we have so much great talent that is in our vintage that is maybe not being considered for some of the C-suite roles because they're looking for someone maybe 15 years more junior or whatever. So this profile package puts together the reasons why they would be brilliant for that role in a completely different package. It's extremely impressive. I've seen two so far.
How long?
Very
Like, are they
impressive.
short? Like, what's
Both the ones I saw were 2 pages.
Okay.
And there's a picture that is really showing who that person is at their core.
Right.
Them either doing something or an image of what may or may not have been them.
Right.
It's super cool. Very impressive.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so it's changed the way a resume looks. It's not like a chronological walkthrough. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. That's always available. And that's what
for
these
sure.
candidates are saying is I have a longer version,
Right.
but this is my high level profile of why I think that I'd be excellent for this role.
You know what's in, I don't know if you're seeing this in the type of recruitment that you're doing, but one thing I've noticed is that a lot of employers, when they provide a description of something, they have these very specific keywords that ultimately, maybe they're implicitly in these job descriptions. The recruiter gets them, they see those keywords, and then they're, in my mind, they're taking the lowest common denominator, which is they go straight to LinkedIn, they pump the keywords in, and it's like, well, I found 5 people with the keywords, those must be the candidates. But I think the challenge has been now that I think AI picks up on the keywords too, because it's recognizing uniqueness in resumes and stuff. But maybe it speaks broadly to, like, if that profile doesn't have the keywords in it that job description is asking for, then does the person risk not being seen at all? And it's an interesting challenge in our market now.
There'll be outliers with all of our files for sure. And that will be up to the candidate to ensure that the person that's going to be reviewing it with their own eyes sees it.
Yeah.
And that's actually where that stands out, in my opinion. But of course, that's usually through the boutique firms. When there's thousands of resumes coming in, it'll be impossible to catch it.
Where it's a commodity type of skill set.
Right. Where the keywords are helpful is when they're, as you know, in LinkedIn, where they can put their skill set in.
Right.
At least they're still catching it. Right? Yeah. So they've been a CEO and fractional CFO as well. Whatever those keywords are, LinkedIn will find them.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. I think it's, maybe it's the note to people is your LinkedIn profile. I hesitate to say critical, but if you're in that job search mode, it needs to be good. Like, it needs to be up to date. It needs to, and I have pointed out to some newer recruiters, and I've said to a lot of people, they treat LinkedIn like it's a business card. They just put in their current job title, which may have nothing to do with their skill set, because there's a difference between your job title, which is, it could be anything, head person.
Yeah.
Means nothing.
Yeah.
To, lead engineer.
That's right.
So, but it needs to include stuff. Otherwise, you're going to get missed. And maybe some people don't care. You've done it. You've talked to people and you say, oh, your LinkedIn profile's terrible. And they're like, yeah, but I've never written a resume in my entire life. And I've been employed for the last 30 years.
Yeah. So. You and I've seen them. And we've also seen them when they've lost their job.
Yeah.
And they come to us and say, I actually didn't keep up my network. Yeah. I didn't actually track what I did in my roles.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy.
Then it's a little late.
Yeah. Do you recommend to people to get their resumes done up professionally, or do you have them? What do you do?
Especially executive level. Yeah. Most definitely. But we actually, as you know, we've got a couple of books, and the latest one actually does it just basic, chronological, exactly what you want to include. It's step by step, and at least it will get the job done. Yeah. Once we get into the VP level, C-suite, board levels, I strongly recommend a professional do it.
Right. Do you recommend certain people?
Yes, we have 2, Leanne Angerman and Jan Eden from the coaching.
Yeah. I'll have Carol grab those from you. We'll add them to the show notes. So,
thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, because there's a few people that are really good out there, and I think the good ones, and hopefully the people that you refer do this, but they tie the resume into LinkedIn as well, so that your online branding is more consistent.
That's right.
So it's really good. Actually, do you know Shane Wenzel?
Yes. Yeah. He's a very good friend. He's on our board of AAG.
Oh, great. So yeah, he came in for a podcast recently, and he did a post. I don't know. I just saw it like yesterday or the day before, and he talks about the importance of personal branding, and it's how some people say, "Oh, it's dead. You don't have to bother doing it," and he's like, "No, you got to do this."
100%.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hey, do you do it?
I think that my community would say that.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's good. Yeah. So what's going on in the organization that you're, like, tell us more about it. Like, I'm curious about, like what you're doing, and is it meeting often, or what's the...
As often as we can. Yeah. It's all dependent on who it is that we're trying to bring in for speakers. Okay. We took the summer off because the speakers that our members like to hear from are politicians of some sort.
Gotcha.
Our next one is in Edmonton with the deputy ministers. It's deputy ministers dinner on October 1st. We don't have anything else planned, but Premier Smith will be coming to Atchison Association. We've got an event out there. We just don't have the date. So about once a month, once in Calgary, once in Edmonton. We also had a launch in Grand Prairie in June, which was amazing.
Wow.
We only had
excellent.
2 weeks to put it together.
Yeah.
And Minister Sigurdsson came and the County of Grand Prairie, oh my gosh, they know how to pull it together quickly.
Don't they?
Yes. Yeah. Very
That's awesome.
impressive.
We have a few clients from Grand Prairie, and it's just it just never stops impressing me. Like that, it's kind of that corner of Alberta. Just like they want things to happen, and they make things happen.
Yeah,
it's great.
Very similar to Atchison. Both of my experiences, and I know it's in other places in Alberta as well in our country. Those two places, from my experience in the last 2 years, have been the ones that have the least barriers to get things done.
Is that right? Hey.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
Wow, this is like a dumb story. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But when I was a kid, I was in track and field all the time. You're gonna like, what the heck? Where's Craig going? So we used to go all over the place to go to different track meets, and I remember clearly. I was probably like 14. We went to a track meet in Grand Prairie, and like think back. Like that was a long, long time ago, like it was late 70s, early 80s. So we're talking a long time ago. It was in the arena. So they had a track that was set up in the hockey rink. So it was indoor. And I just remember, if nothing else, that community was so behind that event. Like you could totally feel it. And I don't have that impression from any other event I ever went to other than that one.
Wow. I'm not surprised, but bravo. Yes.
Like I remember people just like they clearly weren't athletes participating, and they were just there to help out and be part of it. And it was like, it was really impressive.
That is impressive.
Yeah. It's a neat community too.
It is.
So
Agreed.
it's, neat place to go. So, and you went up, did you go up to the event?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both my partner and I went. Yeah. It was really good.
How big are the meetings that you guys have? Like how big are the?
Well, it depends on how fast we have to pull it together. Like 2 weeks, I think we had 55, 60 people, but that was still pretty good for 2 weeks. I thought. Bravo to them. Premier Smith was a couple hundred. Deputy Minister will be sold out at 150. It really depends. Yeah.
We've had Danielle in for a couple different things over time, and we've been to a couple of her, I guess they call fundraisers ultimately, but meetings, and they're always fun. So it's fun to. Some of the people are, I like the supporters. Isn't that? That's kind of odd, right? Like you can like Danielle or not like her. It doesn't matter. But I like the people who support her. Yeah. There's a lot of really good people that are behind her.
I understand.
So it's interesting, hey?
Agreed. Well, she's super smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I guess, not to get overly political, but.
You're talking to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it, like, when she was on the radio, and I wasn't faithfully listening to her every day, but when I did listen to her, you could hear the IQ level being really high. You could also hear her change opinions when someone came to her with information she didn't have, and she would change her opinion. It was like, that's who you need in this world. Like people that are smart enough to know that what they believed was wrong, essentially, and that they can go on to something new. So
100%.
Yeah. She asked good questions too.
She does.
Yeah. It was very powerful.
Agreed.
So, yeah. And when are you going into politics again? Let me just make a note. What?
Never. Ever. Ever. No. No.
I have a good background.
I tell my partner he should. He's the smart one between us. It's not for me. No.
Why not?
I just want to support the ones that I love. And believe in. And I do that, obviously, with the ones that I'm loud and proud about.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
And you're a Calgary girl, aren't you?
I was actually born in Innisfil and grew up on a farm.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And then moved here in 1984.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 1984, so you were in kindergarten.
Oh, yeah. Like that, Thanks, Craig.
Yeah. Innisfail. I almost lived in Innisfail.
Really?
For a hot second, yeah.
Why?
There was an opportunity for my partner who was in pharmacy to go there.
Cool.
But it didn't play out. So, yeah.
It's a nice little town.
Yeah.
They have a great pool.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And they're building a new one. Hard to believe. It's beautiful.
How big is Innisfail?
Gosh, Probably 20,000. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great town.
Who knew? Yeah, people probably, they're going to have to look it up on a map. They probably don't know where it is.
That's possible.
Although they drive through it.
It's true.
A lot.
There's a lot of cool things happening there too. The mayor there is an amazing human. Another smart person. Oh my gosh, she's unreal.
In Innisfail. You know, Innisfail and Red Deer essentially they're nearly combined.
Yeah.
But I always thought that small segment of Alberta just felt like this innovative place that was maybe what Calgary looked like in the 70s, you know, like where it was just like, hey, we're going to go do something. It was, you know, the owner of the business was right there with the welder in his hand and, you know, doing drawings. And yeah, it was it's a great little place for that.
It is.
And it feels untouched that way a little bit. Like it's just the technology is just there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And Red Deer too.
Yeah.
Red Deer College pumps it out. They've got some amazing talent coming out of there. And a lot of development in those areas too.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
And Lacombe is just right there too.
Yeah.
Like you kind of have the three cities and Sylvan Lake, and yeah, it's a neat little area.
Yeah, it really is.
If it wasn't for the weather, it would probably be amazing.
Yeah. At least in Calgary, we get our Chinooks, right? A little bit reprieve.
Yeah. So that's cool. And then, so we talk a little bit about the Alberta marketplace. Is there anything unique to Calgary that's going on that you're seeing? Your work in Calgary, and what are you seeing in Calgary business-wise, and what's happening?
Well, the and you'll probably share this, I assume, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Calgary and Edmonton are amazing cities. They just behave very differently. I love both for all the reasons that I love both. Calgary, I feel, energy industry is where I grew up. Yeah. Absolutely love it. I feel like they've been beaten down so bad, so hard, that lots are frustrated and some have lost faith. I have lots of my friends that have left Canada completely. And of course, we know where that's coming from. And so it's frustrating to see, and it's sad to watch, because that's certainly an industry and ag that I love both industries very much. Yeah.
Agriculture is really interesting. We don't really, I don't think we talk about agriculture enough in Alberta.
Which is so interesting.
Some do, but
like it's number one in Alberta, right? It's so funny.
Yeah.
But I think in a lot of the rural areas, that's obviously what we do talk about. Yeah. That and energy.
Yeah. And I spend a little bit of time down in southern Alberta, and you kind of, you certainly feel this, I don't know what it is, but it's this sense of, how do we keep this going? Like this is tough. And then I know there's been a lot of big companies come in and pick up little farms and then just run them from this high level corporate perspective, which I don't know, good or bad. I don't know. I don't know if you can run ranches like that. Maybe you can run farms like that. I don't know if a ranch is effective.
Well, no matter what, the bigger it is, the less admin, the less, right? My only worry with that is, well, lots of things. I mean, there's a lot of people that love farming and ranching that wanted to do it forever, but the next generation maybe didn't want to take it over, or health issues in the family, or there's complications in some way, and they decided to give it up to the bigger company. My worry, and I'm not trying to project, I just wonder, in fact, I have a very smart friend in Manitoba. We were chatting, and it was his idea first. So what I'm thinking is I agree. If we have a government that we have today that sees that these big companies are literally taking over all of the food and ag opportunities, what's to say that they wouldn't take them out too? And now we have a war on food. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'd hate to be the pessimist around this, but man, it sure made sense to me. Yeah.
Sometimes I think that our governments don't employ good economists. Like with a high school education, that's all you need to figure out half of this stuff.
100%.
Yeah. So, but food prices are up. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What do you think? Am I way off? But when I hear anyone say, oh yeah, food prices are up 12%, 15%, and it's like, wow. Have you been to the store? Yeah. It's not 15%.
No, it's...
Who are you fooling?
Right.
Like,
I don't know. I feel bad for those that are paycheck to paycheck, or our seniors that were on a limited income, or anybody who's had unfortunate situations and they've only got so much.
Yeah.
And what are they doing now? Food bank? Well, the food bank is up. We know that.
Yeah.
That's terrible. A girlfriend of ours is a reverend on the streets downtown here. And she tells us that the bottom has dropped out of the middle class. And the amount my partner and I are out almost every weekend feeding our homeless friends. And we see a lot of new homeless with clean shoes, clean blankets.
Yeah.
Not the following week or the week after.
You know what's this is a terrifying story, but reality that a lot of people probably aren't aware of. But let's say I'm homeless and I have a medical incident in front of this building, perhaps, and I have all of my worldly belongings are in a shopping cart, and I'm towing everything I own. I have a medical incident. The ambulance shows up, puts me in the ambulance. Everything I own is right there and will be gone in a few hours.
Yes, that's true.
And then what do you have?
Nothing.
And so then we think it's this right off the edge of a cliff. Mm-hmm. And so you're one medical incident away from literally having the clothes you're wearing.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
True that.
Woo!
True that.
Yeah, and I saw it just out in front of this building not that long ago. Mm. And the bystanders are like, what do we do with all this stuff? And the medical personnel were just like,
and to be fair for them, there's no catch-all for that, right? So
there's nothing.
There is actually a great service called the Dope Team.
Yes. We see them around quite a bit.
Yeah, and I don't know if they pick up their items or not and make sure that they get them. I'm not sure about that, but they're angels.
I think
on the
they'd
earth.
have to be there.
They might be.
Right, and if they're not right there when it happens,
then it's gone.
Yeah. And then, we're trying to be good Samaritans, and we see someone asleep or passed out, and we call the ambulance and gone. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, they've left everything behind.
Yeah. 100%.
Ooh, scary.
Yeah, it's all bad.
Yeah.
It's all bad.
Yeah. I actually was kind of surprised by, you think back maybe, say 20 years ago, you occasionally heard about someone living in their car, but they wanted to almost. But now I was shocked. I actually went and changed someone's battery in their car and they were living in a cul-de-sac. And I was like, whoa, this is not good. And then you can't leave your car. She had a cell phone, but it's like, whoa, what do you do?
Terrible.
Yeah. And that person is even a little bit outside of the drop-in center's purview and the Salvation Army's purview. So,
right.
Yeah. I don't know. You're downtown, so you see it too, but there's no question in my mind that the homeless situation and whatever we want to call it these days is way different than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's not gotten better. And actually, did you know that the stats, if you look at the homeless numbers from when he started to today, the official homeless stats are that it's down by significantly. There's no way that's accurate.
I don't think they're measuring that
No
correctly.
way.
No way.
There's no way.
Agreed.
You could almost, you could anecdotally just count and you.
100%.
Yeah.
Talk to the mall security.
Yeah.
They know the security is everywhere now. So they're dealing with it, trying to keep others safe.
Isn't that crazy? One of the biggest growing jobs in Calgary is probably security guards.
I imagine.
That's terrible.
Cybersecurity for sure.
Yeah.
That's another issue.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you dealing with that much like cybersecurity stuff? Is it?
I am not.
Yeah.
No.
We are seeing, saying it's an inundation of online scams is no exaggeration.
There is a lot. That's true. I'm not dealing with it though, but I see it. Yes.
But companies that we work with, they're definitely struggling with it, I'm sure.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, yeah, we do some IT in some of the cybersecurity work, but those people are well paid now.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
real well paid.
They'll have a job forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some big changes have to be happening in the future. So
sure.
Yeah. So what else is going on with you? You have this ever growing database of people that you network with. So where are you at now? I follow that number with you.
I don't know where we're at now. You're so
100,000.
Yeah, I don't know, friend.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's I love people. It just it's easy when you just love them, right? It's not for any other reason. In fact, the presentation was made just before I came here. Mm-hmm. They asked if there was a revenue share. I'm like, no, let's just get this out there. It's not for me because I only do one file at a time or two maybe. But for a big organization like you or others that have lots of resumes that they're looking at, this is an answer. Yeah. And that should go everywhere. So you do the same, right? We're Calgarians. Yeah. Watch out for each other.
Yep. It is interesting as, you know, when you look at the expansion of network and, you know, if we go back 20 to kind of be extreme, the number of people we were connected to, that circle was quite a bit smaller. And now that we have this, we've opened up social media essentially over that time frame. And, you know, there must be, I'm going to invent a theory, the theory of concentric circles as it applies to our connection to humans and how the concentric circles are, I have to develop the theory, but it's interesting because now we have connections in foreign countries and all over the place. And I don't know if I don't want to say invaluable, but they're different, right? Like the people that, like if you're connected to someone in Croatia, I don't know what value that might add to your world, but.
Well, it depends. If I'm going there from a Rotarian perspective and I want to do business there, I'll talk to the people that I know in Croatia first, right, before I even go. Yeah. To see if that's an area that I'm interested in. Yeah. My partner and I are always looking at super cool things, super cool companies. So wherever we go in the world, we make sure that it's purpose-driven travel. So really, always.
Okay, now you've opened that door. Where did you go recently? That sounds really interesting. Where did you go? Where have you been going?
Well, Costa Rica. We went there for almost 3 weeks, I think, last November. And that was initially for a wedding, but then fell in love with it quickly and then started emerging into the local markets to see what was really happening there. Turns out it's a great place for us. I think it's a wonderful fit for our next phase of life. I'm not sure when that is, but...
and is business going there too? Like is business... finding its way to Costa Rica? Yeah,
well, lots of individuals and companies are leaving, not just Costa Rica, but to many places. Yeah, as we know.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is amazing too when you think about this whole opportunity we have to work remotely. And I don't I think you and I are probably the similar sort of mentality where I think it would be a little tough to like just up and say, hey, I work from Nassau now. Yeah. But because we kind of enjoy the human component of it. Yeah, true. But it is possible now. And I see younger people think, like, my son's dating someone that very easily could not live in Canada and still work and do everything she does. That's amazing. Interesting. Hey?
That is interesting. Yeah. I do like this, though. I'm with you. Yeah. I also like working away. We did that for 5 weeks, and that was enough. Yeah. I was ready to come home. And it's enough Zoom. Yeah. But let's get back to this.
Yeah. I think the hard part, like I can envision going to a foreign country and like, I could be in Brazil, let's say, and I can envision a short period of time where I could work on Zoom and do stuff and I'd spend a lot of time in the computer, but I kind of just enjoy being around people. Yeah. And that would be tough. That would be tough. I think I can't vision 2 years of working in Brazil, but kind of like interacting with people in Canada. I think I'd feel lonely and deprived of something. So,
well, you'd create something though, Greg. I know. Yeah, you'd get out to community. You'd start building stuff. You'd be. Yeah. Probably,
but I also don't speak Spanish or Portuguese in that case. But it would make it incredibly difficult,
wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah. A lot of body language.
Yeah. That would be interesting. So Costa Rica, and I know that there is actually a couple companies from Calgary that have shops in Costa Rica.
I believe
which is interesting. Mm-hmm. They're IT based. They deal a lot with web marketing and branding and stuff. So yeah. So good place. And it is. And I actually have a friend I mentioned Croatia. It was a bit of a bait situation, but Croatia has a really strong software development environment, database environment. And so people are from Canada who have companies that historically have done it here, are hiring people in Croatia and that part of the world, you know, like we're talking about Eastern Europe and Mediterranean really, which, man, can you imagine?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. I could live there.
Yeah, especially
maybe.
during the winter here.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that maybe is something that we need to explore in our worlds is how to work remotely for a portion of the year and have some fluidity to it. So did you know that NASA, I think it was NASA, I'm pretty sure, but during COVID, they completely reduced the visa requirements to live there to 0. And you could get a 1-year visa so long as you showed up. That was the only requirement.
Wow.
And you could work there. And so it was actually brilliant marketing when you think about it.
No kidding.
It's like, if you can work from anywhere, and because of COVID, you're not allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Why not go somewhere nice?
How cool is that?
Yeah. And so everyone, they let everyone in to rent apartments, and it was fairly cheap.
Amazing.
So like really, and you know, maybe that's the other crux. I don't know what the word is, but when you think about this environment where we can work remotely, we do run the risk of being replaced by people who work further remote and are cheaper.
True.
Because if I, to pick an arbitrary number, but if I make $100,000 in Calgary doing job X, but there's someone in Brazil that will do that exact same job for 50 grand, and I'm demanding to work remote, then how do I differentiate between myself and the person in Brazil?
Fair.
Yeah. And we're in the similar time zone even, like it's like an hour different maybe.
Fair.
That's interesting, hey?
It is.
So I think that's been a bit of the challenge with, pushing remote work hard, because then we kind of devalue ourselves down to what we do as opposed to who we are.
Yeah.
So I'm not hiring you anymore. I'm only hiring the product of what you're capable of. Yeah. So it's interesting. It kind of diminishes us. And maybe, you circle back, maybe it's that profile that you were talking about initially that, we then are humanizing, and it's not just the product. Maybe it's the person and it's that type of way we present ourselves differently. So,
agreed.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, well, you know what? You said you have to go. You can't be here all day, although it would be fun to have you
It would
here
be fun all day.
So
Yes.
we'll have to go for coffee again.
And
honestly, if you can ever use our space here, we have this big boardrooms and stuff, please feel free.
Kind.
There's no... Yeah, I want people to use it. I love it because then people are around.
Yes.
So yeah,
I understand.
So nice to have you. Well, hopefully we'll have you again soon. So
thank you.
Yeah, and we're going to list everything you have in our show notes, books and contacts. So
lovely. Thank you.
Thanks very much for having us.
Thanks, Craig.
Okay. All right. Bye for now.
Bye.